Okay, so for starters, we're going to paint the yellow and then the orange and then the dark blue. And actually, first things first, I'll even do the little bit of light gray around the mirrors and the builder's plate. This plate, but then actually we're using a sort of the next step brighter yellow than we used on Union Pacific the other day. Union Pacific has a little bit deeper yellow. Now there are a couple things about Chessie System paint scheme. What I recommend is that if it spills into, the yellow spills into some of the blue of the lettering, that's pretty much okay. You mainly don't want it to get into the big C. And if it were to get into the orange, again, that's okay. But as much as we can, let's kind of like sort of try to keep some of the Chessie System letters, since they're big block letters that we're going to be painting blue. Keeping blue letters blue is generally a pretty good idea, as much as you can, especially the big logo. Because if you start painting it yellow, now this blue is pretty dark, so it doesn't show up quite as much, but no, the 7607 and the B&O on the front, it's actually, we're just going to do it with a ballpoint pen, so it's pretty much okay. And get in the little nooks and crannies of the cat and give it another coat. Okay, and then what we should do is, there we go. And the two coats of that actually covered pretty well. So what we'll do is we'll take this orange ballpoint, and it's always a good idea to kind of start ballpoint pen, even get them out. Start ballpoint pens. Kind of trim some of this. Don't really need to trim, obviously, against the dark blue area. Probably a good idea, though, to trim against the yellow. A little bit, make a nice crisp edge. Then what you'll see when you're doing this trimming is that you'll see places where the yellow maybe didn't quite fill. It's just as well that you fill that in before you start painting orange. And this is actually a pretty deep orange. It's called, oh, actually, we didn't do the steps. See, you kind of start to notice things that you did and didn't do. So I was thinking about the orange. It made me remember the steps. And there's actually a little MU stand. There's an MU stand there. So you kind of start to see details that are yellow and orange. And there we go. Okay, so as I said, the dark blue against the orange will be pretty fine. It's mainly a lot of these areas where the orange is against the yellow. You want that to be pretty crisp. Get the classification light, let that stay the way it is. A little bit it spilled over, but that'll be okay. Much better it spilled into the dark blue than if it had spilled. Then right here on the nose is kind of an interesting area where you kind of have to be. There are a lot of areas like this when you draw where you kind of have to just sort of walk a straight line where you need to keep it straight on both sides. Just kind of put one more coat here. Kind of make the orange nice and bright. Second coat kind of makes it a lot richer. Then the thing we really should do is this ballpoint's a little bit dried up, but it'll get the job done. See, there we go. What we're doing is we're getting the orange handrails on here. Kind of get the battery in there. And then while we're here, get the steps. Get this back handrail. And then get this main handrail. You see this is one where the orange handrail is going to go through the lettering, and you kind of just have to let it do that. Sometimes you kind of let you make your choice. Like if the handrail feels like it detracts, just sort of almost leave it off. But the bright orange handrail on Chessie is kind of almost part of the signature of the paint scheme. So you kind of almost want to put it on and put the lettering behind it. If if you left that off, a lot of people would kind of say, what about the bright orange handrail? So there's the orange handrail. And I kind of noticed that the lift yellow. And let's see, what else? There's a little tiny bit right here. Should touch up orange. Okay. And you just sort of touch this battery. Kind of put a little bit of shadow in it with this pencil. And except for that, oh, well, the one thing I guess we should do is, why don't we just take red and go around the fuel gauge, fuel filler, all that. Okay, well, now we'll be ready to come back and paint the dark blue.